Pakistan's defense minister has confirmed that his country's nuclear deterrent will be made available to Saudi Arabia if required, in what amounts to the first explicit acknowledgement that Riyadh now falls under Islamabad's nuclear umbrella. Speaking in a late-night interview with Pakistani local news outlet JOTV, Khawaja Asif made the remarks in response to a direct question on whether the deterrence that Pakistan gets from nuclear weapons would also be extended to the kingdom under the new bilateral pact. At present, there are 9 nuclear-armed countries in the world. Along with them, several other states host nuclear weapons under sharing agreements, bringing the total number of countries involved to around 15. Saudi Arabia has now entered this category following its recent defense agreement with Pakistan. This situation is being compared to the United States nuclear sharing arrangements, where American nuclear weapons are hosted by Turkey, Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Italy. Similarly, Russia has deployed nuclear weapons in Belarus under its own agreement. In the same way, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia are now reported to have signed an agreement that extends beyond conventional defense cooperation. Previously, it was widely assumed that Pakistan would provide Saudi Arabia with comprehensive security guarantees, but this would not include the nuclear dimension. However, a recent statement by Pakistan's defense minister, Khawaja Asif, has made it clear that Pakistan's nuclear weapons could also be used for Saudi Arabia's security. At this stage, it is not yet confirmed whether Pakistan will actually deploy nuclear weapons on Saudi soil in the coming days. But the agreement signals a major development in regional defense dynamics and raises important questions about nuclear sharing in the Middle East. The United States currently maintains nuclear sharing agreements with 5 of its nuclear allies, namely Germany, the Netherlands, Turkey, Belgium, and Italy, with a 6th such agreement expected to be signed with the United Kingdom. These agreements effectively allow Washington to proliferate its nuclear arsenal. They have remained controversial due to its de facto creation of new nuclear weapons states, with Western analysts having widely highlighted that it violates Articles 1 and 2 of the Treaty on Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. All nuclear sharing partners rely solely on air-launched B-61 nuclear bombs, which are deployed by their F-16 or F-35A fighters, or in Germany's case by its Cold War-era Tornado attack jets. Belarus in 2023 entered a nuclear sharing agreement with Russia and deploys warheads using Iskander-M ballistic missile systems. The Belarusian arsenal is expected to be diversified with Oreshnik intermediate-range hypersonic missiles by the end of 2025, and possibly with a nuclear rocket artillery system. Countries in nuclear sharing agreements lack autonomy in employing their arsenals and can be denied access to nuclear weapons by Washington or Moscow. The United Kingdom and France both retain limited nuclear capabilities primarily deployed from their nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines. France retains a limited tactical nuclear strike capability using Rafale fighter aircraft, although the age of these jets and their lack of stealth capabilities remains a major constraint. The United Kingdom is set to restore a tactical nuclear strike capability through a nuclear sharing deal with the United States, which will allow its F-35A fighters to use American B-6112 nuclear bombs stored in Britain in the event of a full-scale war. The country lacks an independent tactical nuclear strike capability. Although both countries retain independent strategic deterrence, both suffer from a very limited diversity of their means of delivery and from serious limitations in their tactical nuclear strike capabilities. The key question now is whether Pakistan will directly deploy its own nuclear assets to Saudi Arabia, or whether nuclear warheads could instead be mounted on Saudi military assets. Pakistan's longest-range missile at present is the Shaheen-3, with a range of about 2,750 kilometers. In contrast, Saudi Arabia already possesses the DF-3 ballistic missile, purchased from China, which has a much longer range of around 4,500 to 5,000 kilometers. The DF-3 was originally designed by China to carry both conventional and nuclear warheads. However, the version supplied to Saudi Arabia was delivered with conventional warheads only. This leaves open the possibility that, in the future, Pakistan's nuclear warheads could potentially be adapted for use with Saudi Arabia's DF-3 missile system. In addition to missiles, Saudi Arabia operates advanced US-made fighter jets, with the F-15 being its main combat aircraft. However, it is highly unlikely that the United States would ever allow Saudi Arabia to integrate its own weapons with these jets. Washington keeps its military technology highly restricted, and US weapons usually come with strict conditions. One of the key limitations is that the purchasing country is not permitted to use these systems against U.S. allies. Saudi Arabia's new defense pact with Pakistan is a turning point in the Gulf and wider Islamic world. For Riyadh, the agreement means a formal security guarantee from the only Muslim-majority country with nuclear weapons. This transforms years of informal help into a binding deal that opponents cannot ignore. For Pakistan, it gives influence far beyond South Asia, while also securing Saudi financial and political support during its own economic troubles. The pact sends strong signals to the region. Israel now faces the reality that Saudi Arabia has Pakistan as a military backstop. Iran is also warned that Saudi defenses are no longer limited to U.S. systems like THAAD or Patriot, but may now rely on Pakistan's powerful military and nuclear arsenal. Turkey too may see its leadership role in the Islamic world challenged by a new Riyadh-Islamabad axis. The most sensitive issue is nuclear sharing. If rivals believe Saudi Arabia has access to Pakistan's nuclear shield, this could spark an arms race or miscalculation. The United States, Europe, and even China will be forced to rethink their Gulf strategies. While the pact strengthens deterrence, it also raises new risks in one of the world's most unstable regions. That's all for today's update. Please subscribe and like this video.